left in the day, and I'm left wondering what to do. It's odd. At the hospital I had 24 hours a day of free time, but here filling the considerably shorter hours feels difficult. Everyone else leaves, and I'm left alone with the teacher. Muto is examining the assignment sheets we were working on earlier, marking them with a red ball pen. Raising his eyes from his papers briefly, he notices me and furrows his brow. "What is it, Nakai?" I jump at him addressing me, but I guess it's natural to spark some conversation since there is nobody else around. Nothing. Thinking about what I do after school." The teacher slowly puts the cap on the pen he is holding and arranges his papers into a stack, clacking it against the desk twice. He seems very methodical, and for a brief moment I'm reminded of Shizune, but the teacher is more unhurried and relaxed, much more routined. "You have no plans?" "No, I consider joining a club, but don't know what kind of club would interest me." "Go observe a meeting of someone else's club. Might pique your interest." "I guess. But I don't know how to continue from there." Muto looks at me in a way that makes me quickly want to take the words back to avoid a conversation. But I can't, so I have to forge ahead. "I just don't know how to deal with people. I mean the other students. I'm talking to people and everything, so it's not that I'd be isolated or anything. I just don't know what to think about the disabilities. It's like... it feels that I'm being impolite if I pay attention to them, and it's weird to ignore them. Damned if I do, damned if I don't." The teacher scratches his cheek absent-mindedly, looking very unresponsive. "These things are only an issue if you make them one. You can talk normally with someone even if they are blind or something. Try to look behind the superficial. There's not a single student here who isn't just a normal kid behind whatever they might seem at first." He says the same thing as Yuko did. I know they're right, but it's hard. How can you not consider, for example, Shizune's deafness, when the only way to communicate with her is to talk through Misha? Or Hanako? It's not like you can ignore her face. But... I'm interrupted by the door of the classroom suddenly slamming open. "Teacher!" Misha crashes in, hands straight in an enthusiastic greeting, her voice loud and lively lively enough to wake the dead from their graves. She starts towards the teacher's desk with her bouncing step, hands energetically swinging with the rhythm. Muto, visibly dismayed at the interruption, and Misha in general, slumps in his chair. Oh God, what does this nutbag want? "Mikado? Ooh, she's a Mikado! They are tasty, tasty little treats." She's not turning into a sweet treat in my hand, made of little biscuity stuff. Little biscuity stuff and marshmallow with sugar. Yeah, anyway, I'm thinking about treats when I shouldn't be. Let's go. Misha stops in her tracks and looks around cluelessly, as if she's sensing from his tone that something's wrong, but has no idea what. "Yes? We have talked about volume control before." "Yes?" But she doesn't lower her voice at all, and the teacher just rubs his eyes. "So what is it?" We need help. We are running out of supplies for the festival stands." "This is a distress!" She waves a pink slip of paper she's holding around. "So, go get more supplies from the art room. What is the problem with that?" "Plywood. Plywood is always the problem. Last time we wanted more there was only a little, but that time we just took it all and went with that. Now there's like none left there, so do you know where there is some?" "I don't understand. How would I know?" "Shit-chan, I mean the president thought that a teacher would know if there's plywood. Was she wrong?" Muto looks like he is in great pain, and I feel his pain, frowning with his entire essence, and Misha doesn't get it at all. Looking at the two of them communicate is terrible, like looking at a man being tortured by drilling his skull open while blasting pop music at full volume at the same time. I'm afraid I have no idea if there is any plywood in the school, let alone where it would be if there was any. Aww, what should I do? Perhaps try to find Mr. Nomiya. I am quite sure he would know where to find everything you need. You'd have to pry them from his cold, dead hands, but that's a different matter. I don't have time. We're so busy. She holds her head with both of her hands, looking as despairing as it's possible for a person like her. Without even noticing, she crumples the notes she's holding against her hair. I shouldn't even be fetching these things. There is so much to do and we are falling behind the schedule. Muto looks at her gravely and then suddenly smiles. Smiling doesn't really fit his face. I think it'd be better if he didn't. I wonder if you could get some temporary help. Oh, no, you don't. Fuck you, sir. No, you do not put us with them. But that's what you're going to do, isn't it? He switches to staring at me focusedly with a hard expression, as if trying to say, go make some friends. Fucker. I guess I can give you a hand. You can? Thanks, Hichan. You are really nice. She pauses, does a double take, and then points at me with her fingers, yelping, "Ah!" and looking very puzzled. Come to think of it, what's Hichan doing here? Class is over. You should be having fun. We just had a little chat. Oh no! It's not detention, is it? Are you in trouble, Hichan? No, I'm not. Is Hichan in trouble, teacher? No, he's not. Muto sighs deeply, and I feel that I have to help Misha to get her off the teacher's back. So what do you need? Here's a list. I can try to find the plywood from somewhere if there's none in the art room. She offers me the note she's holding. I take it, hesitating a bit. I said I'd help you, but this has no implications on whether I'm joining the council or not. Aww. Still, thanks, Hichan. Try to be quick. We are in a stall building streak now. We must hurry, hurry, hurry! She bounces out of the classroom, leaving me and the teacher looking at each other with something that feels like a silent agreement. Well, there you have it, Nakai. You have something to do now. Please don't sound so smug. Looking at the list with a number of items ranging from paint to plywood, all written with small, neat handwriting. This is undoubtedly Shizune's. I heave a sigh. Le sigh. I'll be going then. Waving the long list limply at the teacher, I exit to the hallway. The classrooms closest to ours are designated belonging to classes 3-1 and 3-2 on the right side and 3-4 on the left side, each door looking exactly the same. Further down the corridor still, with identical doors, are rooms that I didn't think were used for classes. I guess the art room is not a classroom as such. I carefully push open the furthest door and peek in. It's a classroom, but it seems rather badly kept or not in use. Am I in the right place? Desks and chairs are all around the room, a thin layer of dust settled on them. There are some easels in the corner, so at least this looks like the right place. The room is flushed in sunlight from the big windows, shadows creeping all over the desks. Specks of dust are dancing in the stagnant air, making the beams of light almost visible. Jokingly, I call into the empty room. Anybody home? Something catches my eye, and I stop mid-sentence. Sitting on a desk is a short-haired girl, curiously wearing a boy's uniform with a fork between her toes and a morsel of food stuck firmly on the end. This odd way of dining seems to be caused by her apparent lack of hands, but her presence here is what takes me aback even more. How did I miss her before? She's sitting in a corner, very still, but I still somehow took her as a part of the furnishing, or a statue at first glance. I'm not being too observant today as a whole. The girl seems to be frozen in place, staring at me with her huge eyes like a rabbit in headlights. She's staring at me, her mouth wide open, ready to accept the fork. I'm staring at her, my mouth wide open, suddenly remembering I didn't finish my sentence and trying to think if I should. This weird stalemate keeps us both stunned into silence, punctuated only by the wall clock ticking rhythmically. Hello? The girl stuffs the forkful into her mouth and is now staring at me expectantly while chewing. This is a bit awkward. Hello, I was told to pick up some supplies from here for some festival stalls, I think. I didn't think there would be someone here. There isn't, that's why I came here too. She picks up another forkful. Doesn't that mean you're here then? She raises her eyebrows as if she was suspecting my observation was false. You're pretty observant. I guess it does, but who are you? This girl is pretty straightforward, isn't she? I'm Nakai, Hisao Nakai. I just transferred in on Monday. I'm Rin. Tezuka Rin. Rin Tezuka. Well, which is it? Tezuka Rin or Rin Tezuka? I won't shake hands with you, but at least we know who we are now. That's very nice. Her deadpan manner of talking makes it hard to determine whether she's joking about shaking hands or not. It kind of bothers me. Joking about these matters doesn't feel appropriate at all. While I'm trying to figure out what's appropriate and whether this girl is, she seems to have lost interest in me and is now gazing yearningly back at her food. Can I continue my lunch? If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. If you need to get your stuff, the supplies are at the back. Go right ahead, but lunch? School's already over for the day. What word would you use then? There's no word for a meal you eat after lunch but before dinner, right? It bothers me very much too, but I don't really know what I should say. I don't think you were supposed to eat a meal between lunch and dinner to begin with. But I'm hungry now and my delicious boxed lunch would go to waste otherwise. I have curry. It's very delicious. With much decisiveness, Rin once again picks up the fork between her toes, and with at least as much impoliteness, she points it straight at me. So, Nakai, what brings you to this place? Like I said, I was told to look for these things. No, the school. From outside you look fine. Is your problem inside? I come to a full stop, opening my mouth but not getting a word out. I can guess. I'm good at guessing, better than most people. Rin cuts me off before I can answer her question, or skirt around it somehow. I don't know which I would have done. I froze in front of this issue again. I haven't even told anyone here about my condition, or maybe it's only because it hasn't really come up. I do get the feeling that not making issues of this is part of the social code around here, as the teacher said. I wonder if the people here could relate. Probably not any better than any normal person could. I can't relate to Shizune's circumstances, or Lily's either. Naturally, while I go through this in my head, Rin keeps considering what my condition could be, with an overtly contemplative look on her face. She puts her fork between her lips and leans back, looking at the ceiling as if the answer was written up there. A beam of light illuminates her face from the window side, creating a mask of dark shadow on the other side. I don't think it's anything in your head, and something in your guts would be boringly ordinary, like this lunch of mine, and less delicious. The problem must be in your pants. This messed up Sherlock Holmes kind of statement, and the sheer lack of tact it was delivered with catches me completely off guard. I think I might have reeled back even physically as Rin's eyes widen in revelation and astonishment. So I was right. There's something wrong with your tackle, isn't there? Still partially in shock, but recognizing the need to reply something, I spit out the first thing that I can think of. No, nothing like that. I have a heart problem. Arrhythmia. I said it. More like blurted it out, but I said it. The girl in front of me purses her lips together and glowers at me, looking very disappointed. How boring. Trouble in the pants would have been much more scandalous. What's with this reaction? I'm sorry to let you down. I forgive you. Just, I collect people with people, and a person with, that kind of problem would have been really great. Collect people? People with different problems. Huh. So you just, go around asking people what's wrong with them? Pretty much. I see. With little left to say, Rin resumes her lunch and the conversation dies away. But I keep thinking about what was said. It's the first time I told anyone else about my condition. All the other people have either known about it already or heard about it from someone else. Or didn't need to know about it, like every other student here so far. Should I have told it as a natural part of introductions? Is it expected of me? Hi, I'm Hisao. I have a very serious heart condition. Is that how I'm supposed to go around introducing myself from now on? As if our disabilities would define us? What a disgusting thought. Or maybe this Tezuka girl just has an unnatural interest in such things. As I walk to the back of the room to pick up the items on Mish's list, a chance opens to study Rin from the corner of my eye. Her hair is a burnt auburn, almost orange, and cropped short. Long hair would probably be impossible with no arms. The boy's uniform, the lack of arms, makes her look very thin, almost scrawny. She's not particularly pretty except for her murky green eyes, which flicker restlessly from below her short bangs, even when she eats. The distance and the shadows makes it seem like they don't reflect sunlight at all, but instead absorb all of it within them like deep wells. She moves her feet almost as deftly as a normal person would use their arms. However, I can see how this sight could discomfort people, especially while eating. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, at least. I hesitate to think about the word unnatural, but it's too late now, isn't it? I keep searching the cabinets. Learn to spell, guys. Cabinets and shelves for Mish's things. But after enough time passes, the silence grows too uncomfortable, so I try to force some conversation out of this strange girl. So do you always eat alone and this late, or do you get the occasional visitor? Visitors? Maybe you were my first occasional visitor, but I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof, if she's not horsing around. Horsing? She likes to do sports. Oh! And that's all I can think of to say. Both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bit of her meal to her mouth. I look down at my haul and double-check it with Misha's list. It seems I have everything except plywood. So I think I have all the things now. That's very nice for you. Don't feel obliged to stay. I was about to take a nap anyway. You need to do whatever you were going to do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping? I'm not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I think I have to be going. I'll catch you around, Tezuka. You can call me Rin. I feel that our friendship is at this point good enough to warrant this much. I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hisao. Then you are. Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but that intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. It's like she's actually not looking at me at all. She blinks a couple of times, and I can't figure out why a pause like this popped between us out of nowhere. See you later, Hisao. There's something like a tiny smile there in her face. Maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself, what an intriguing person. From inside, I hear a muffled sing-song voice. I heard that. What did she hear? I jump at the sudden appearance of Misha, who I had not heard approaching despite the completely empty hallway. Somehow she had gotten to jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about a global feminist conspiracy, but I push that thought aside. Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof as she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention, but Misha is visibly excited. No, wait, more importantly, who is in there? There's no club meetings today. She tries to curiously peek past me, even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. Wow, seriously need another drink. God, if this act doesn't end soon, I may just call it quits for a while anyway. Whew. I don't even know how long I've been doing this now. Right, let's try and get through it. Come on. What are you doing here? You took so long that we had to come check what's wrong. That's no good, Hichan. She wags her finger at me scoldingly. I found plywood, but everything else is still missing because you are tardy. Oh, sorry. I got the things here. Was just going to bring them. I think you were up to some mischief, Hichan. Who was in there with you? I wonder. Misha signed something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes away past me and opens the door into the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she is experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property by sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from the slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders, from suppressed rage, I'm sure. Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a few deep breaths, adjusts her glasses and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. Maybe she did blow up, but I can't understand it. She shoots a very loaded stare at me too, as if it was somehow my fault that Rin is sleeping on one of the tables. I hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness. Hello? Rin's voice comes from the other side of the door. It takes a few eye blinks to realize she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with a half-interested, half-sleepy face. Hello? Miss Tezuka, what do you think you are doing? You absolutely are not permitted to use school property for such a disgraceful activity. It sure is suddenly very crowded in here. I didn't know I was this popular. It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events. At any rate, she ignores Shizune Misha's scolding, so they have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulder, points at Rin, and makes some quick signs. Popularity aside, please don't do that anymore. Anyway, how is your project going? Will it be done for the festival? Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure Shizune's cold stare is putting on her. I keep wondering about that myself too. And? We'll think about it harder As Misha signs her reply to Shizune, her face turns into an unsatisfied frown. Miss Tezuka, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch onto it. Rin nods assertively. We'll think more seriously. Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizune doesn't. Not even after translation. She just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowns thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo. How rude! It's true though, I must finish my project before the weekend. There will be dire consequences if I don't. The end of the world as we know it! Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future. I'm about to ask what project she has and what are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom. Since you have nothing to do, would you give me a hand? This paint can doesn't fit into my bag, but I need it. She kicks lightly at a huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table she was sitting and sleeping on. It lets out a dull clang. Actually, yeah, that kind of raises one or two questions. How does she rig up carrying a bag? I'm assuming it's an over-the-shoulder thing. Probably just has to rest it on a surface and just swing her body around so that she gets her head under the strap and just kind of whips it up and over. But, thought-provoking. Anyway, being the gentleman I am, I naturally pick it up. Heavy. Yeah, sure. Where do you need to take it? Away. And with that she takes off to the hallway, me and the paint can following since there's little choice for either of us. The hallway is quiet and empty now with Shizune and Misha gone. So we too leave towards the stairwell at the other end. Every 10 or 15 or 20 steps I have to change the can from one hand to another because the thin handle cuts into my palm. At least it keeps my arm from tiring too fast. Rin strolls on beside me with an uneven pace that I have trouble matching, or maybe I'm walking weird because of the extra weight. It seems one of us is constantly walking too slow or too fast, and I can't figure out which. 2 flights of stairs below, trouble appears in the form of the head nurse and his fox-like grin. Ah, Mr. Nakai, what a happy coincidence. Tezuka too, of course. He nods courteously to Rin, who does not acknowledge him back, then turns to me because obviously it's me who he had some business with. There's something I forgot to mention on Monday. I nod and wait impassively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. It's about your medications. Since you haven't been that long on your current medications, there might be some unexpected side effects, which might require adjusting dosages or even changing to another kind of medication. So, we will do a few tests regularly, but what I'd want is for you to keep an eye on everything in your condition that feels off, if you get what I mean. Nausea, headache, anything. And come see me if something happens. Not going to say what something might be, but use your head. Alright. So how are you? Everything fine? I give up and drop the can to the floor before answering him. Apparently this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then I realized how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too. Teachers and students here. My parents, visitors, nurses, doctors at the hospital. Fucking everybody, pretty much.